Happy day it is. Every time I get to see you, I'm happy.
Just light up.
Hi, everybody. I'm Kumi.
I'm Benet, and welcome to the CastABLE Podcast, where we focus on what we can do to abolish ableism in the entertainment industry.
How have you been? How are your holidays?
They're good. Interesting things happened up and down, but, it's just at a point where you let them.
Yeah. When I finally arrived, like at my late 30s, and I was like, you know what? I'm only going to worry about the things that I can change. And like everything else is like, well, I'm not going to stress about that because it is what it is.
Correct.
But I do like the holidays. I have a love-hate relationship with the holidays. But I think the things that I do enjoy is like hanging out with, my family and eating, of course.
Of course.
But yeah. I think my favorite thing about the holiday though was getting to see Wicked. I was pretty skeptical. I'm sure a lot of people were. But you can't go wrong with Cynthia Erivo.
I mean, you can't.
No, you really can't. I thought everything about it was totally cool. There was quite a bit of disability representation in the film, not just with Nessa Rose, but
really?
in one of the scenes, there was also another dancer in a wheelchair. And then sexy Peter Dinklage was the voice of Dr. Dillamond.
Ooh.
And I love Peter Dinklage. Like a lot. So I really like the disability representation in the movie. The music was great. Jonathan freaking Bailey, beautiful.
Of course.
How do you feel about it? Did you get to see it?
I have not seen it.
That's okay.
The reason why I have not seen it is because I'm not necessarily very sure that I want to open that Pandora box yet. I don't know if I'm mentally ready to go there where, because of the fact of the matter that I became disabled and the phone has stopped ringing, it's still a very on the surface kind of hurt. And I didn't know if I could, there weren't supposed to be sing-alongs, but nobody said anything about wailing, and I want to respect people.
Oh no, a sing-along is a sing-along. Wailing.
I understand, but wailing, like what?
No,
wailing and crying and just.
It's okay. I'm taking you with the karaoke mic, and we're going. I'm taking you with the karaoke mic, and we're going.
Okay.
Actually, we don't even have to go anywhere. You can watch it at my house.
That's what I heard.
With closed caption on.
That's what I heard. Now we can watch it. So I'm like, okay, I feel a little safer in the confines of a friend, / fellow queen, or even in my bed, and just lots of tissues.
Oh, we're scheduling this.
I can't wait.
We're scheduling this. Pajamas, karaoke mics, Wicked with the captions on, and my cat's looking at us like, what the is wrong with these women? But
I'm so excited.
I loved it. But I'm really excited about our guest today.
Me too. I mean, talk about just goddess energy, like literally achieving so many things and just kind of walking in her greatness. It kind of blows me away, but I literally am just in awe of her. And her name is Julia Irzyk. She is the owner and head librarian at the Library Agency, which is a Los Angeles-based talent agent. She's a Los Angeles-based talent agency, and she is the head talent agent. And she's also an attorney. She's a Texan, and she moved out to Los Angeles in 2002, immediately following her graduation from law school. Prior to her work as an agent at Elev8 Talent Agency, Julia worked for 6 years for more than a dozen different commercial casting offices in Los Angeles as a session runner and an associate. She also has an undergraduate degree in English literature from the University of Texas and studied Shakespeare abroad during her junior year at Oxford University. I mean, already. Already. I'm not even finished because she's a graduate of Georgetown University Law Center and co-authors the best-selling disability law treatise, Disabilities and the Law, 4th edition, published by Thomson Reuters. Her legal specialties are special education law and employment discrimination. And she also does pro bono special education advocacy work. I mean, amazing.
Yeah.
I love that we have a little bit about her personal life as well. But Julia and her husband, Brian, who's also an actor and comedian, have been married since January of 2012. And although they celebrated their anniversary as their first date in August 2005, they share a Russian blue cat named Disney, who does tricks.
Of
And
course.
is an enthusiastic fan of the Texas Longhorns and the Green Bay Packers. Now, heed of warning, do not call or text during or within the hour following any of her team's games because you will regret it.
Note taken. Note taken.
And amongst all of the fabulous things that she has done, she can communicate in English, Spanish, and ASL. I
Wow.
mean, I must say, as I bow, welcome to the CastABLE Podcast, Julie Irzyk.
Yes.
Hi.
I mean, thank you so much for joining
Whew.
us. Queen Goddess. I'm going to call you Queen Goddess. Is that okay?
I'm great on paper. I'm great on paper.
No,
I'm very
you're
impressive on paper. In person, I look a little like a homeless drag queen, but you know, it is what it is. Yeah, it always helps me when I do legal work. When I show up, they really have low expectations, and I like that because I've never failed to get absolutely everything I've asked for in my special ed work. Uh, just underestimate me. Go ahead.
I love
I
it.
love that. I love
I
that
love
so
it.
hard. Like my family makes fun of me in a loving way. Like, don't ever tell Jennifer no because she's gonna do it. And I totally get that vibe from you. Totally.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, just a badass all around. Like,
It's the family way. My parents are both extreme overachievers as well. My dad is a law professor and a med school professor and a
Wow.
professor at the School of Public Health and a professor at the School of Nursing, and he was the architect of HIPAA. So
Wow.
when I say he makes me look positively lazy. And my mom is my co-author of my law book and the former dean of Brandeis Law.
Mm,
So she actually was working on disability law issues starting in the 70s before she had disabled kids. She's not disabled herself.
mm.
And so the fact that she inadvertently was working on the most important thing in my life is sort of kismet. It was meant that I mean, she did not, when she started working on it, she didn't even have kids, so
wow,
much less disabled kids.
that's amazing.
I love
I
that.
mean, just
And when I started writing, I hadn't been diagnosed with lupus yet. So when I became the co-author, I was still suffering, struggling, sleeping 16 hours a day, but being called fat and lazy by my doctors because all women are fat, lazy malingerers. I was like, I'm Dean's List at Georgetown Law. I'm telling you I'm not lazy. I'm telling you something's really, really wrong. Couldn't get him to do a blood test. And so, but after I graduated, my mom was dean of the law school. She said her publisher said, you need to come out with fourth edition. She said, I'm too busy. I need a co-author. I became the co-author. And then about a year later, I was diagnosed with lupus. So it was sort of one of
Wow.
those random world coincidences. People are always surprised to find out that I was working on the issues before I knew I was a person with a disability. But Benay, I feel your struggle because I also had a similar path. When I um, graduated law school, I moved to LA the next day to become a stand-up comic, and I was successful and I worked, and that's how I met my husband. We were both doing comedy, and but my health declined.
Mhm.
And you can see my cane in the background. I use a cane all the time now, and a wheelchair for distances over 50 yards. I can't be on my feet for more than 5 minutes. Um, my health has really declined. I've had 16 surgeries in the last 15 years. So
Wow.
7 back, 6 foot, had my gallbladder out
Mm,
in April. Just had wrist surgery
mm.
a couple months ago. I'm just racking them up, trying to get a punch card going. It was a really hard thing for me to come to terms with the fact that I'm a person with a disability and there are things I can't do. I used to be the Crystal Geyser girl from the Crystal Geyser commercials. So if you go look up Crystal Geyser cashier, you can see my old spots from, 12 years ago before I became an agent. And I did one day of commercials and was bedridden for a week. And I knew I was done. And fortunately, my husband's agent said, hey, your wife's a lawyer, right? Would she be interested in redoing our contracts? And within 6 months, I was head of their commercial department. So it was fortuitous timing that I knew I was done at the same time that they had this opportunity for me. And I love being an agent. I love my job. I get to make other people's dreams come true, and get to make sure that they're not being screwed over. It's really important to me to do everything by the book. Very few agencies, and it's yeah, no, it is a knock on other agencies. I was going to say I'm not trying to criticize other agencies and how they do things, but I am.
Absolutely.
Yeah, totally, 100%. Because not every other agency, not every other agency pays their staff by payroll, which is required by the law. Not every, they don't have their agents as W-2 employees, but the law requires that. My entire staff is W-2 employees, even though I have them all working remotely for health and safety reasons. I am in the office every single day, SAG. I'm here every single day, and but my staff, because I am immunocompromised for my safety, they only come in when they absolutely have to. Like Andrew, my voiceover agent, I'm franchising him right now with SAG. He's been with me 3.5 years, so he's way overdue to be franchised. He has to come in, he's the voiceover agent, so when we need somebody to run the booth, we have a full voiceover booth in our office. He obviously does have to come in for that, but that sort of thing. I'll try to keep my staff as safe as possible, because I also am trying to keep myself as safe as possible.
I love that. That is absolutely.
Sorry, I ramble.
No, you literally, because I was going to ask about the library agency, and you completely just effortlessly, as the queen goddess that you are,
I just wanted to do it my way.
I love
wanted to
it,
run
but
an
that's
agency
what I
my
love.
way.
I love it,
Yeah.
and I love that you are literally being a trailblazer in so many different areas, and that you're doing it your way. Do you know what I mean? Like, it brings a smile to my face. And thank you for validating my hesitations with Wicked, because it's just like, I don't know. I don't know
There
how
are movies I can't watch. I had to turn off Dr. Morbius, whatever that movie is, the Jared Leto superhero movie. He's chronically ill, and he's had to turn it off. It was hurting me in a way that I just couldn't emotionally deal with at that moment. And also, it wasn't a very good movie. If it had been, if everybody been like, it's the best movie ever, I probably would have stuck it around. I also haven't seen a movie in the theaters since 2019. I haven't gotten on a plane since 2019. And SAG, we don't get, despite being a SAG franchised agent, we don't get any of the screeners. It would be really helpful for me, so that I know what's going on, so that I can help, so I can submit for those people's same projects that are happening, but I don't get the screeners, so I don't know what's going on. That's one of the things that I'm on my to-do list for 2025, to advocate for SAG, at least, some screeners. But the number one thing I'm advocating for is SAG franchised agents don't have access to SAG health insurance. And I have health insurance through my husband, but my entire staff has had to get their insurance on the exchanges, and that is unacceptable. We made it through the strikes. We are SAG franchised. They are SAG franchised agents. SAG can track their income just like they can with the actors. There's no reason that they should not be able to get the same insurance that the actors get if they are SAG franchised agents. That's my personal opinion. I'm going to make it my mission to talk Fran into doing that for us. So let's all work on that in 2025, because my staff deserves that. And also, my husband shouldn't be job locked. I should be able to have another source of insurance, so he's not trapped in his job.
Absolutely. So I know you talked briefly about the library agency already, but can you tell us maybe a little bit more about what you do for your clients, and how you do
it? We're a very small agency. I think we might be one of the smallest in LA. We have 370 clients total for all departments. That includes 40 or 50 random kids. I don't handle any part of the kids except for the contract portion. I do deal with all the contracts. So every contract that we get goes through me because we would want that. We have JT, whose name is also Julia for maximum confusion. Julia Thornton is the kids agent and also my adult theatrical agent. She's been with me for 6 years. She's fantastic, but never ever comes to the office because she lives in Mid Wilshire and she doesn't have a car, and I'm not a douche. Andrew is my voiceover agent. He's been with me for 3.5 years. He actually originally was an intern that was just so good I had to hire him. And he's just terrific. Jessica and Alejandro are my commercial assistants. I would make them franchised agents if they would let me, but Alejandro wants to be a director and writer, and Jessica wants to be a casting director. So because of that, they have to be available to go off and do other things, but that's not a conflict. They're not actors. So they are my commercial assistants. And Lexi, who used to be my commercial agent, in 2020, she decided this is the moment I'm going to go and get my master's in social work. And so she did. And so she handles our Instagram and our influencers while part-time, whilst being a social worker for the city of LA or county of LA. So I have this amazing team of people that have just stuck by me, but everybody's been with me a minimum of 3.5 years. Jessica and Alejandro will be 4 years this summer. And JT 6.5 years, something like that, 7 years. I have the best staff in the business. They are
That's awesome.
amazing human beings. We are an incredibly diverse agency in terms of our staff. Obviously, I am disabled, and I'm very open about the fact that I have lupus, but I'm also Jewish, so you have that. And Jessica is African American. Alejandro is a Latino. Andrew is Greek Orthodox. We've got the full panoply. It's United Colors of Benetton over here.
I love it.
Half the staff is queer, so we really are very proud of the diversity that we represent and represent in our clients. We have an incredibly diverse roster. We have tons of actors with disabilities, but we are not a disability only agency like some other agencies, which are great agencies, but that we are not a singularly focused agency. We have actors who are wheelchair users. We have deaf actors. We have hard of hearing actors. We have actors with visual impairments. There are a full, many actors who are on the autism spectrum. We have, and lots of invisible disabilities that I always work to accommodate on set. In fact, we have someone working right now with their service animal, and we had to make arrangements for them to work in another state with their service animal, and getting accommodations that would make that work. So it's really important to me that I represent a roster that looks like my staff. It's important that we have a very diverse base. I don't want to be a models only agency. It does not align with my values.
And it doesn't represent our world.
No, exactly. And part of my job as an agent is to get casting to see actors in a different way than they would normally. My philosophy is, if you could do it in real life, I will submit you for it. And I can make the casting think outside the box. For example, if you're a wheelchair user, you're not going to play a street cop. I'm not going to submit you to play the officer chasing the suspect down the street, because that makes no sense. But I can absolutely submit you to be the 911 operator. And it's my job to make casting go, oh, we could do that. And make them say, yeah, I would like to bring this option to producers and to show them that I'm thinking outside the box. And it has been successful, and I've made that work in the past. I'm particularly known for representing comedians. That's my niche and specialty, because that was my background. So disabled comedians are even more of a specialty, but I'm not a one only sort of agency. I think that there are some fantastic specialty agencies, but we are just not one of them. We have a broader base.
Yeah.
I love that. I love
Mhm.
that you're just changing people's minds and, giving people
Trying to.
opportunity to think that they're, doing something different, but you're actually spearheading it. And I really do appreciate that. I
Give people
really
an
do.
opportunity to be a hero. I try to make people realize that they can do better without being a nag.
Yeah.
My mom calls it raising awareness.
I love it.
She's the master at it. I do it a little heavy-handedly.
And then I wanted to kind of just speak on the other, because these correlate, but your attorney and your law profession, but one of your specialties in law is special education.
Yes,
And
I do pro bono advocacy work.
That's amazing. And there continues to be sort of a movement in the disability community about the words special education. Like,
Yep.
many people with disabilities do not see our needs as being special, but rather human. And
I don't like the term special needs because the needs aren't special, but special education is a different term because it is special to it should be called individualized education, but special needs is the part that offends. Special education, to me, it just means that the student has an individualized education plan. They have an IEP, and we have yeah, exactly. So special education just means that we have taken special care to plan the education of the student. Special needs, I don't like at all. I don't like differently abled. I don't like differing abilities. I don't have different abilities. I have less abilities. I am less able to walk. I cannot be in the heat. I think it's pretty apparent by the paleness of my face that I do not ever go into the sun, but it is especially bad for people with lupus. So I don't have special abilities. I don't climb walls or sling webs. I wish I did. I have less abilities. I am disabled. And I don't feel any sort of type of way about being disabled. It did take me a long time to get to the place where I just accepted that I was a person with a disability. I also personally, because I'm Gen X and I'm an old lady, I like person first language, but I don't have any problem with being called disabled. I prefer to say I'm a person with a disability because I prefer person first, but neither is wrong in my estimation. I just think that I'm a person first.
Yeah, I really like your point of view on special education, and the fact that you said something that really resonated with me, that people take special care to provide, the student what they need for their education. I really like that point of view. Thanks for sharing that.
I think that's a more actual way to view what we do in the IEP process. We are setting goals, making a plan. There's a special process for that student, but the student themselves isn't special. They are, they are disabled or in some way, and there is nothing at all. A 504 or an IEP is their right for now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My son has an IEP.
Yeah, I don't get involved unless a school district has been so egregious that if I show up for no money, you've screwed up terribly. The times I have jumped in have been like, oh, we know that she needs speech therapy, but we don't want to pay for it because it's too expensive. Yeah, that's not an us problem. That's a you problem, district. You are required by law. If you have determined she needs speech therapy, you got to pay for it. And this was Beverly Hills ISD, by the way. Yeah, I know.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And other similar levels of ridiculousness, where I have had to show up and say, this is black and white law. And I always, bring the book. Such a beautiful book.
It's really beautiful.
I have chucked it across the table one or two times at someone, not at someone, to someone, with pages tabbed in advance and highlighted for the relevant sections.
Sometimes
I'm not nice if you make me show up, I'm not going to be nice because you have behaved egregiously. I mean, that is the bottom line. You don't get an advocate at this level involved when it is a difference of I think she needs this many hours versus that many hours. I'm not bothering with it when it's she clearly needs this 10 hours of speech therapy a week and we're giving her nothing. And we
Yeah.
don't think that, and there's nothing you can do about it, that I'm happy to jump in and go, really, that's funny.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Yeah.
Love to have you
So
in.
so just back to your back to the library agency as an agency that represents people with all different. Sorry, my cat is literally all over my,
Oh
and
no,
I
yay!
can't pick her up. But um, as an agency that represents people of all ability levels, how do you find yourself advocating for talent with disabilities when sending them out to auditions, and when they actually book jobs?
Well, I first of all would say if you are a person with a disability, you do not need to be with a specialty agency, but you need to be with an agent who understands both submitting people with disabilities
Mhm.
and disabilities.
Mhm.
So if the agent is, but I also don't think you need to disclose, obviously, if you're a wheelchair user or you're blind or deaf, you're going to have to disclose that up front to your agent
Mhm.
before the meeting. If I need to, um, you know, have I sign, but I also need to make sure that it's closed captioning for our meeting, etc. Whatever it is. Um, but beyond that, I don't think you need to tell your agent until after you've signed your paperwork and say, here are, because we actually have it in our paperwork. Do you have any um, uh, accommodations that I need to be aware of? Any allergies, any physical or mental accommodations I need to be aware of so that I can advocate for you? And I am sort of the person who's the most aware, but you still need to make your other agent aware of your limitations, whoever your agent may be. If you can't be on your, like I can't be on my feet. I know that now. I didn't know that then, but I can't be on my feet for more than 5 or 10 minutes. You need to make sure your agent is aware of that,
Mhm.
because you don't want to have a situation where either you're canceling a bunch of auditions, which makes your agent look bad, or you are um not able to perform the auditions, or you're getting booked and then not able to perform the role. You're not otherwise
Mhm.
qualified. I'm not otherwise qualified to do a role where I mean, I'm not otherwise qualified to do any roles now, but you know what I mean. Someone like me is not otherwise qualified to do a role, and they don't have to adjust the role to my, because I'm not qualified. The role was already set. That's the
Mhm.
job, the
Mhm.
job thing. So you just need to make sure that your agent knows what your limitations are, and but can totally work around them. I just, if it's going to be an outside out, hot shoot, I'm obviously not going to submit someone like me with lupus for that type of situation. Also, if I have a deaf or hard of hearing client, I am not submitting them for roles with smoke
Yeah.
because they can't see, and there's a danger issue.
Mhm.
I've had that issue before. They cannot see visual cues and they can't hear.
Mhm.
So when it's a dangerous, when it says a role, this scene contains smoke, even if they would otherwise be qualified for safety reasons, I don't. But those are things that you need to make sure that you have an agent who's aware of. And there
Yeah.
are a lot of great agents in
Mhm.
town. I have, I'm not the only, you know, agent who's cognizant of these issues. And it's not just, Keely Cat Wells who can handle this. There are other LA agents who are not disabled, who are on the ball, but
Mhm.
you just want to make sure that your agent gets it. Just make
Mhm.
sure they get it. And you can tell pretty quickly in your meeting if they get it or don't get it.
Yeah, absolutely. Just
Mhm.
a last question. What advice can you give to people with disabilities trying to break into the industry?
If you use an assistive device like I have it in my cane,
Mhm.
make sure to get a picture with your cane. Make sure to get a picture with your wheelchair. Making sure to get a picture with your cochlear or your hearing aid or whatever your assistive device is, because those actually are things that will help you get jobs. And we can hide the pictures if it doesn't matter, like it's a 911 operator. I'll hide the wheelchair pictures, and then when they bring you in, they look like a hero. But it's important for you to show what you really look like and be really honest about it. That I would advise to take those pictures with your assistive devices. And also, you don't need to. shout that you're disabled, but you also don't need to be ashamed that you're disabled. Something in the middle is great.
Mm-hmm.
I don't lead with the fact that I'm disabled. I mean, I walk in with a cane, you get it. And I wear a mask everywhere I go. So, the combination of those things pretty much clears it up when I walk into a room, but it's not the only thing about me. And it's not
Yeah.
even the most important thing about me.
Mm-hmm.
So but it's not nothing about me. So find a middle ground, be proud of who you are. I also say find accountability and actor groups that you can join. There are plenty of free groups. My clients, one of the features that I offer at my agency, which I don't know any other agents who do this, but we have a private agency Facebook group. I know other agencies do that, but once a month I do a live Zoom with my clients where I go over everything casting right now, so that they can start stalking casting directors, take workshops that are applicable to them, so they can target the shows that they want. I would suggest you do the same. Find a show that you absolutely should book, not a dream show, a realistic bookable show for you.
Yeah.
And take the workshop from the associate, not the casting director, the associate, because at co-star level, the associates are who brings you in. And so when you are just starting out, making a connection with a couple of really good associates who work on projects that are really targeted for you uh, is going to be a fantastic route to go. I love Seth Kasky and Ryan Maharaj. They definitely bring in disabled actors for their shows, and I've had really good experience with both of them booking my clients, and them both being really nice guys. So those are a couple right off the bat that I recommend. But yeah, I say in general, try to target associates at the beginning of your career. Associates are the gatekeepers, and spend the money on the good headshots. It is the biggest mistake I see is people cheaping out on their headshots. That is the only thing that matters when you're starting out. It literally is. They're never getting to your resume. They're never watching your reel. None of it. Your headshot matters. So don't cheap out. There are plenty of headshot photographers that take great headshots in a reasonable price range. TheShotPhotography.com, photos by Jamal.
Photos
both
by Jamal. That's who I got. I mean, shout out to Jamal. And we did
know him
disability.
personally.
He
I
was,
just love his shots. He gives
he was
me
amazing.
exactly what I need. He's my number one recommendation for clients of color because he knows how to correctly light melanated skin so that people don't look gray or yellow, and he gets the light in your eyes where all the good stuff happens. Jeffrey Nicholson at theshotphotography.com and his brother, I recommend for comedians. He does a great job of getting your personality. I hate solid background photos just as a personal thing. They were all the rage circa 2008, and these are not, I don't love them because they look to me like yearbook photos or glamour shots. I don't like them. So I like to have some depth in a photo. That's why I like Jamal and the shot photography. There are plenty of others. I have a long list, and for the record, I get nothing from these guys except good photos that I really, really like.
And Jamal was amazing, because
He's a nice. Everyone
he
has
was
said he's a nice
amazing
guy.
with
I've
my
never met him. I haven't
disabilities.
spoken
He
to him.
was
I just
so
love his photos.
accommodating. He was wonderful.
Good.
He was like, yes, we got shots with my cane. Like he was amazing. He was amazing. And he took his time, and he knew that I would need to take the time because I cannot walk as fast and
That's
move around
wonderful.
and change clothes. He was so accommodating. He was like, listen, I have booked the whole day for you to take the time that you need to feel the best.
I love
And
that.
That's wonderful.
it was
He's
amazing.
always gotten really good shots for my clients, so that's
Yes.
why I keep sending him people.
Yes.
He just does a really good job. That's how you get me to send you a gajillion people.
Yeah.
And that kind of feedback is why I will continue to send more
Yeah.
people to him, because
So
everybody has
accommodating.
always told me wonderful things about working with him, and that's key to me. If somebody, I keep a running list of my recommended photographers, and anytime somebody has said they've had a less than exemplary experience with a photographer, they have been removed from the list. I have a zero tolerance policy for creepy behavior, so my list is sacred. I have a zero tolerance policy for creepy behavior in general of both my clients and on set. So if I get a report that my client's been creepy, they're going. If I get a report from my client that something has happened on set, I will scorch the earth to make it right. I have it set up that clients' phone calls go through to my phone no matter when it's on do not disturb at night, because if you're on set, something goes wrong, you have to
Mhm.
be able to get in touch with me. And you know, if somebody I'm disabled, my husband's not, we'll show up, trust me. um
I love that. It's been such a pleasure talking to you, Julia. You are
Love
a
it.
fountain of knowledge. And thank you for everything that you have done and continue to do for
Oh,
people with disabilities in this industry and through education and everything else. This was just a refreshing conversation, and we definitely appreciate you coming on the CastABLE podcast.
Queen
Thank
Goddess.
you. Thank you so much. And I just want everyone who's disabled to know that there is space for you in this industry. We need your voices. We also need you to tell your stories, make your art. It's how we'll get through the next 4 years. It's important that we all keep making our art.
Yes.
So thank you for having me. I would love to come back anytime.
Yes.
You were such a joy to chat with, and I really hope that you will keep at it, because it's been a joy to watch your podcasts.
Thank you
Thank
so much,
you.
Julia.
Oh my.
You have a great day. Thank you for being here. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me and Benet for the CastABLE podcast. We will see you next time.
Take care.